Hello again, this is Chris with M2Skins, and now we're moving on to installing the Pro Kit. In this case, it's going to be our Prism vinyl for the MSI Vector HX 16AI 2025 model. So you want to go ahead and start by cleaning this surface off of any dust, debris, or oils. Make sure you get that rear section as well. You want to also make sure you get the sides of the lid because our Pro Kits do wrap around. When peeling the Pro Kit, you want to make sure that you individually peel each corner.
It helps avoid tearing or overstretching the vinyl.
All right, now we're going to gently lay it on the device. Now our normal vinyls do allow you to kind of slide these around before you tack them down. They're pressure sensitive. And so, actually I'm going to turn this the other way. You want to make sure we align the logo as well as these front edges here. So I'm just going to tack that edge there. There is a little bit of a stretch in there. We build that in case folks are a little aggressive with pulling it off the paper. So now with these two corners tacked, you should be able to pull this taut, center that logo a little bit, like so. And I like to squeegee from the logo outward. If you don't have a logo, you can just align to this rear edge here. You can also use your hand if there's any tough bubbles. Our normal vinyls are pretty good with air escape, so even if you get little bubbles, you can just typically work them out with your hand here. There we go. All right, now we're gonna start on one side. Now there's a little bit of a swoop, so you're gonna wanna make sure you work back and forth into the swoop first before you hit the edge, and then you just want to crease the edge so slightly. You don't want to get air trapped in at the corner. That's kind of harder to get out. You just work back and forth until you can tack it all the way down the side there, like so. We're going to do the front edge now, so you want to make sure you've got everything tacked all the way up to that edge, and then you're just going to work back and forth. Not doing these tabs yet, so we'll do those last. And repeat for the other side. Get that curve in there. There we go. Excellent. Now for the corners, these tabs are slightly undersized. The intent here is that if you want a seamless fit, we'll go ahead and see if we can get this on camera here. You can use your tweezers to follow the edge of the lid and just give it an ever so slight stretch. And see, you get a nice seamless fit. There we go. Excellent. Now on the rear strip, we did break this up into left and right, plus a couple of accent strips for these slashes in here. So you're going to want to go ahead and line that right up to the lines of the diagonal features or accents on this rear area. So, because of the, this one also has a swoop, I like to align along this long edge right here. A little bit of a reveal because again it is slightly curved. Okay. And then just work that like so. Each of these can be peeled and applied individually. And then we install the right strip similar to how we installed the left. Where we just bring it up into that slash. And then we're just going to ride that long edge at the bottom there. Look at that. And now we've gotten our wraparound top lid done. All right, next we're moving on to the interior. We've actually got this split into two pieces. And MSI was kind enough to give us some nice solid edges to kind of pull the design up to. So with the interior pieces, we've got a rear strip and then we've got the main section here. Similar to the front, you're going to want to peel from both sides. I usually go to halfway through the trackpad and then I'll start the other side. Don't mind the stickers. We get a lot of questions as to why we leave the stickers on. This is one of the units we either got in from a manufacturer or we bought to do designs for, and if we're reselling them, a lot of people prefer to have the stickers left on. All right, so you're going to want to align the left palm rest corner. So this corner, I do a loose alignment up here, and then I'm using my tweezers to align to the bottom left corner of the trackpad, or front left corner rather. And we can pull this too, so that it will relieve any slack. Tack that up there. Finish by tacking the left palm rest, like so. And then we're going to pull this little flap for the side of the keyboard. Now it's going to want to come in, so you really have to pull it back to the edge there because of how the device is shaped, like that. So just ride that edge and then work your way inward. Now on the right palm rest, we typically do left palm rest and then stretch to the edge of the trackpad and then the right palm rest. So we didn't build in a lot of stretch here because these are pretty thick and beefy pieces. They don't really stretch too easily off the paper. So I'm just pulling it ever so slightly to tack around that trackpad. And then all I'm doing here is just gonna pull this so that it aligns and it's taut. We don't get any slack or air bubbles. And you tack it down with your squeegee. Now, if you need to, sometimes these can get a little slightly wavy. If you need to adjust these to align them, you can use the tip of your tweezers underneath and just work your way across, aligning to that line and tacking down, like so. And we'll just do this right side here. There we go. And now you can either choose to do the trackpad now or the rear strip. We're just going to go ahead and get that trackpad done. This is pretty simple. There is a little bit of reveal around the edge of the trackpad. It does not go straight up to the edge. Makes it easier to peel off if you ever need to replace it from wear or whatnot. That's why we include a couple. In our testing, the vinyls don't actually impede the use of the trackpad at all. Now, some of the more textured ones might be a little weird to use on your finger, but these satin finish ones, like the Prism, they're pretty smooth. All right, now with the strip, you're gonna peel half from one side and half from the other. There is a little bit of stretch put into this one to make it easier to install. And so you just start by lining one side around that hinge. Like so. And now there is a little notch here due to how the device is designed, so you're just going to give that a little bit of a stretch to get to that notch. Like that. And so like just a little bit of a stretch to get to the other notch. And the other side should just lay down. Like so. And now you've completed the interior install. Prism is so cool. And now for the bottom, which is definitely an interesting design. We had fun doing this one. There's a lot of angles and shapes, and what we ended up doing is, because there's a lot of slashes here, is rather than just do one large cutout, we included the slashes because it looks better, but we came up with some custom tack tape, right? And what this will do is this will make it like solid when it's peeling off, as opposed to all flexible and flimsy. So we're gonna do this in 3 different pieces. We're gonna do the back vent first, which is the hardest part, and then we'll do the 2 front sections. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dust this off and clean that surface. And when you're peeling this, again, you're gonna wanna peel from multiple angles. Oh, quick point. If you know, I just tack this, but whenever you get this, make sure you re-tack the tack tape with your squeegee, just to make sure that it's stuck on there and it peels up. All right, now we're gonna peel again from 2 sides here. I'm gonna get this little flap. And I'm gonna peel this side. Like so. Now, when we're aligning, the tack tape is gonna wanna grab, so you have to hold it taut. And I'm just aligning that front edge and the screw holes that I can see on both sides. So I'm going to tack that, like so. And then up here, I'm just going to pull this taut. I should probably use my tweezers here. Just going to pull this taut here to this corner, tack that, and this just laid right down. Pulling this taut here to the corner of this foot. We'll go over the indents, and if you want the indents to be more pronounced. And I'm just making sure this is along. There we go. Okay. Now that we've got the main points tacked, let's take our squeegee and work our way up, across. We're just trying to get these thin sections first so that they're nice and tacked down. We'll do all the indents in a second here. Okay. All right, now you're gonna wanna gently peel the tack tape back. If you did a good job tacking, got a little debris under there. If you did a good job tacking, it should stay down, but if it does come up, you want to keep this very close, and you can follow it with your finger. That's one. And then the other side. That's two. Now you can use your finger to work each of the indents here to get those features to kind of be more pronounced again. For deeper ones like up here, what I like to do is if my finger doesn't work well enough, just give it a little bit of heat and then work it with your finger. You notice it falls right in then. There we go. Well, the hard part's done. Let's go to the second hardest part, which is this guy here. So you just want to be careful peeling this. There's a lot of thin sections to this piece. And what I like to do is I like to just align it around that support brace, and then I'm aligning the square screw cutout and also aligning the diagonal feature to the right here, like so. And you should be able to use your tweezers to kind of pull this taut. This does like to ride in a little bit. Okay. And now we're just going to align around the speaker grill over here. And around this screw hole. This cutout is for the sticker. Our sticker ended up coming off and falling off, but you have a sticker here that we created a window for. The intent is so that, oh, I stretched that a little too much. So if you find yourself with some extra slack here, you can use a little bit of heat to shrink it. And then what you want to do is you want to distribute it into smaller bumps. Like so. Multiple smaller bumps. And then you take your squeegee and you go perpendicular to the bumps. And you should be able to work out Any creases. Let's just make sure this aligns right. There we go. And then the last piece, which is the easiest piece. You want to peel from a couple angles. And we're gonna loose a line around these two. And then just kind of rotate until it fits the I'm going to use my tweezers here. There we go. And then just work it out with your squeegee. Voila! You now have a skinned bottom section of your MSI Vector. Thanks, and we'll catch you next time.